Hello, and welcome to the second part of the second episode with Savvas. I once again I hope you enjoyed the first episode. Um, yeah, we often have these kind of wide-ranging conversations that they just go in a direction. And this second part is it lives up to its what I just said. We kind of drift into the kind of male dilemma, the dilemmas of being a male, and that around therapy, and then we talk about stress, and we talk about inflammation, lifestyle, diet, ways to de-stress, and yeah, just all that's relationships to kind of the modern diseases that we know. So yeah, again, just he's an extremely knowledgeable guy, and yeah, I just hope you can take something away and that you enjoy listen to the podcasts. I also want to make a special thank you to Nuala. I've done a podcast with her as well about music, and she's very kindly allowed me to use her song "Keep Running." Me and a friend Adam went to see her at the Lexington in London, and we were just blown away by her. And I just remember listening to this song that she played live, feeling it, and feeling that it would serve a beautiful message and a beautiful purpose for what I'm trying to achieve with these talks. So yeah, there's a beautiful message in it. There's lovely lyrics to it. So yeah, I hope that you like it and resonate. And once again, Noala, thank you for allowing me to use your beautiful song. I hope you've been enjoying the sun this week. It's been a long time coming, I feel. And being a ginger, I haven't learnt the lessons yet of not getting completely burnt, but we'll get there at some stage. So yeah, I hope the sun's shining for you. I hope you're all still enjoying this time off and still doing things that are creative and lovely. Still exploring new avenues and new ventures. And yeah, just once again, thank you for your time. And yeah, if you do like it, please share it, please recommend. I think we're on Spotify now, we're on Apple, we're on YouTube. So yeah, any of those kind of avenues, if you do like it, and yeah, just like it, review it, give it as many stars as you think it deserves. And yeah, just once again, hope you enjoy and thank you. You can do the wrong thing for the right reason. Wait.
Right thing for the wrong reason.
The right thing for the wrong reason.
Well, in terms of what?
In terms of like you could be doing a job that you don't particularly enjoy, but it's paying the bills at home. So do you know what I mean? You're in it. You've essentially harbored a deal between you working between 8 and 3 or 9 and 5 because it is, providing, this support or this, but then it's like, okay, after that, and during that, am I actually happy? Am I actually happy doing that? Because at the end of the day, if you're not happy doing, like, if you're not internally happy and your inner person just isn't really happy doing it, then that's just going to lead, because you're not listening to your body, because you're not listening to your heart. That's going to lead into, it could lead into a manner of things like depression or alcohol, like addiction or unhappy relationships. You may not be the best father to your kids or the best mother.
Exactly. That is, I think that's when. Exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of, like, you need to be the best person for the people around you as well.
Yeah.
And if that, and there comes a delicate balance between you doing the thing you love and you being able to provide for your family, for example, or those who are dependent on you. But there has to be some, and that's why I think that's those who live the hardest lives are the ones where they just have no option.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They can't just fucking try their music career or try their podcasting career, for example, because they literally just don't have there's literally 2 kids that depend on them, or God knows what, they're older or their older parent, or someone lives with them, or someone who's totally dependent. They can't.
Yeah.
And that must be the hardest. That's literally a situation I think I'm very lucky, kind of never to have been in.
Yeah.
And hopefully don't have to end up in.
Yeah, I mean it's a yeah, I mean yeah, I completely concur with that, I think now at 28 and only really having a partner that is sort of like my only kind of like my like tie, really, but not in a bad way, in a beautiful, amazing way, I count myself very lucky and very fortunate, and I think this is also why I've done this, because I've realised that maybe the next 4 or 5 years we might have kids, and when I have kids, then, like, because my dad said something to me very recently. He said to me, the moment you have kids, it just completely changes, like, your whole perception of the world, because somebody is now dependent on you.
Yeah.
So I sort of listened to that, and I was like, right, well, fuck, I better get my ass into gear and actually start doing stuff that actually, I could potentially make a career out of, or just stuff I enjoy, because there might come a time where I might not. But yeah, it's very tricky to imagine yourself being that person who just is in this rut of. But then I think then it might trickle back down to what you said about okay, so if you are in a situation that is not necessarily great, it's then about I think attempting or trying to make your situation okay, and to make you okay with your situation, because if you can't get out of it and you are just stuck in it, well then okay, we've got okay, so prime example, when I was working at the school, I was just doing it, just because, because just the initial coming back from Vietnam, I was just doing it because. Then Demelza had epilepsy. So then I was actually doing the job because I needed to, because that's the money that was helping us pay the rent and survive and da-da-da. So then I was like, right, I'm not happy doing the job, but I need to be happy with myself in the situation. So, I started doing meditation. I started reading books. I started mindfulness. I started going on walks. I started trying to do things that would, outside of this, would actually kind of make it okay. I didn't open a bottle. I didn't I did eat food, because that just makes me happy. That was my little comfort. But yeah, I think I think it's like how looking at your situation and just how you can improve it, even if you can't fully get out of it.
I think that perhaps like in many societies now, there just isn't knowledge or kind of community around doing those kinds of activities, right? Kind of say, for example, kind of working class job. Maybe perhaps I'm stereotyping it, but it sounds like your working class job. All your mates go down the pub on a Friday. you don't take walks in the evening. You don't open up your feelings with your missus, for example, because that's not manly. You're supposed to be providing for the family.
Yeah.
You're supposed to stay strong throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And eventually that kind of leads you down from a kind of, for example, right? This was this kind of summed it all up for me. Was so literally I'm just at the end of a book called The Cholesterol Con, right? And it's basically a book about how using cholesterol, or the total cholesterol, or kind of HDL versus LDL, good and bad cholesterol as a predictor of cardiovascular health is basically as good as me just looking up and down and saying whether you're going to die in the next 5 years. It's totally pointless, right? So there's a much more subtle kind of analysis that you have to do to determine if someone is actually at risk of cardiovascular disease, right? So at the end of the book, there's a whole section on essentially, okay, if lowering cholesterol via statins is not a way to actually reduce the risk of someone's potential of death via heart disease or kind of all-cause mortality, right? Then what is, right? And it literally had 2 whole chapters on stress, and kind of a large portion of one of the chapters is basically on the male. And I know you've done a lot of reading about this, in some books yourself. Yeah, kind of the male, like why males are quite so susceptible to heart disease, is basically because they don't open up about their feelings. Right. They don't have a kind of a sense of necessarily open community or
you just lock it up inside, eh?
Yeah, they essentially lock it up inside. They have to kind of they essentially overdose on their own stress hormones, right? Which is what I was doing, in my 20s, right? Right. I wasn't any risk of dying soon, but if I carried on along that path, it would have ended up pretty bad, right? So literally a whole chapter on a book about cholesterol and heart health was devoted to just stress and especially kind of around, one huge part around the male. And kind of saying how, people say, oh, the Mediterranean diet's the best diet. Well, if you actually look at what the word diet means, I believe it comes from an ancient Greek word, which actually means kind of lifestyle, right? Which includes your exercise and the way you actually live your life. Righto. It's not just the food you're eating, right? And so if you actually talk about Mediterranean diet, the Mediterranean diet is, yes, okay, it contains lots of kind of more, healthy monounsaturated fats like...
olive oil,
this, fruit that just came from the tree, fish, good dairy and stuff.
But it's the lifestyle. It's a style of how they live their life. Eh?
Exactly. There's a shitload of pastries. People for bread. Cyprus, for example, is the smoking capital of Europe, right? Or was voted at one point. A typical Mediterranean breakfast is a cigarette and a cappuccino, right? People say, oh, you shouldn't skip breakfast, for example. That's I'm serious, right? So
I know.
So you if you analyze kind of, there was one study that they literally analyzed some people's diet in a place in say Italy or somewhere, right? And kind of looking actually what they ate. No, it was actually a community in the States where it was an Italian community, but they'd taken their kind of Italian culture over to the States. Okay. But the food that they were eating, if you compare Italian American food with Italian food, it's very different, right? Italian American foods, in some ways has been adapted in a very kind of traditionally unhealthy way, right? Yeah. Very fried, huge portions, not much nutritional content, right? If you ever watch Man vs. Food, you'll see, right? But they kind of analyzed how this culture were lived their life, their diet, as it were, and pretty much they just sat around all day in a community where everyone was responsible for something, talking about their feelings, talking about their day. Everyone had a kind of really big self-worth in the community. They ate shit all day pretty much because they were just eating deep fried trans fats, but they still lived longer than a community that didn't have that but had a much healthier diet. Even the level of smoking in this community was huge, but they still managed to get around it.
But it's smoking in community. It's smoking as a conglomerate, as a collective. And I think that's something that we have most certainly lost in our society is that idea of a collective union. Not necessarily amongst women, because I was literally just sat before I came to see you in a coffee shop
I was on my own, and then there was a table opposite me full of 4 women, and I was, every now and then I'd like, just sort of drift into the conversation, and it was a proper like, yeah, so I said, and he said, and like, men might look at that and go, oh fuck me, here we go again. But I mean, Jesus Christ, that is what we should be doing. We really should be doing that. Literally talking about our day, talking about what's happened, talking about how much so and so has been. Do you know what I mean? It brings so much into someone's life to actually offload and actually, like a friend, a friend of mine, Laura, she actually said that really we don't actually need we shouldn't need therapists because we should have each other.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely.
But because we're now in a society that is so individual and it's so about me and my and I, you actually need someone who's trained in the art of listening.
Yeah,
which is
they need to study it.
Yeah, study the art of listening.
Study it and then charge £100 an hour.
Yeah, right,
mental.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Mental.
There's an Instagram person that a friend of ours, Mariana, told me to follow, and she's called the Holistic Psychologist. And she's literally taken. I don't think she does any more private practice, but she now just has this Instagram because she actually realised that she was sitting there and they were doing the work. She was just sitting there, really, and these people just offloading their. And then it was them doing the work, and really that's what it is. It's about you doing the work and you doing the self-discovery. And this person here is just holding the space, really.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But that's what we should be doing in community. And I've started recently looking at potentially going to a men's talking group, just where we sit around a fire and actually have a chat. And
that sounds unbelievable. That sounds like seriously like a good idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna most certainly. They've recently had these like a couple of like closed groups, so because they're doing something, whatever. But I think in the new year they're gonna open it again to the. So yeah, I'm gonna go into that. But do you know what? Even this, this this literally might be my own selfish drive at therapy because it is therapy for me. Opening up and talking about things and just literally figuring things out and working it out. And it's it's something as men we're just not trained to do. We're not culturally open to it or culturally accepted to do it. And as we said before, I'm reading a book at the moment, or just finished a book called The Secret Legacy of Male Depression.
Exact.
Yeah,
it can be any more pertinent. Yeah,
quite literally. And the people who are most at risk of this idea of depression, because it is all just in here and insular, are guys. Particularly working class guys, maybe middle class too, actually, you might say. But yeah, it's sort of very current for the times as well, And yeah, stress as well is a huge impact on. What was the chapter? What did that say about stress in the cholesterol con?
I mean, pretty much. So I mean. Most of the research now seems to be around the cause of, kind of modern disease. The kind of major ones, Alzheimer's, diabetes, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, cancer, right? I'm probably missing one there. But kind of those diseases, or what you call kind of the kind of modern diseases. So if you're kind of over a certain age, you have a kind of 90% chance you're going to die of one of those, right?
Okay.
So all those diseases are pretty much caused by systemic inflammation, right? So or chronic inflammation.
What does systemic mean?
So systemic means literally just your whole body. It kind of has a low level of inflammation.
Okay.
And that's brought on by kind of a bunch of factors.
Okay.
So those are stress.
Yep.
So pretty much they are stressors to your system. So your body inflames itself to kind of deal with, deal with issues. So essentially So for example, say you have an injury, right? Like an elbow injury, right?
Yeah.
You will see your elbow flare up.
Mhm.
It'll be inflamed. So that's called acute inflammation. So your body is actually trying to repair that injury, right? So that's why it gets inflamed.
Yeah.
But say, for example, you take on board a toxin. Now your body also kind of generates inflammation to detoxify that, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So if you have antioxidants, right?
Yes.
That's actually because they're trying to remove the oxidization that's occurred in your body, right?
Okay.
And that oxidization is the thing that kind of causes many issues. So for example, heart disease is caused by oxidization of, I believe, so I'm no biologist here, but I believe that's so a certain type of LDL cholesterol, right? So your body needs antioxidants to deal with that, right?
Yeah.
And repair it. So if your body's in a certain kind of state of inflammation, it essentially means it's constantly trying to detoxify itself,
Yeah.
right? But it's having to. So for example, right, if I'm stressed, my body's going to release certain hormones.
Right.
So it's going to release, for example, adrenaline and cortisol, right? So there's a very, very basic view of everything.
Yeah.
But my adrenaline and cortisol level is going to go up, and I'm going to be able to deal immediately with that stress that happens. But if that stress goes on forever, I'm going to have to keep releasing more cortisol, more adrenaline, more cortisol, more adrenaline. I'm going to be, those things are inflammatory by themselves, right? And eventually I'm going to have a kind of low level of inflammation across my whole system. So that's systemic inflammation, right?
Yeah.
And it's chronic because it goes on forever, right? So that inflammation, it doesn't just need to be caused on by physical stresses. So, people always use the term, cavemen or whatever used to be, their major stressor was, a tiger might eat me, or I'm not going to eat, etc. Right? Those are kind of perhaps more physical stresses. But also you can imagine, a famine is incredibly mentally stressful as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Whereas nowadays we're, living in a world of abundance, but everything's relative, right? So, so for example, it's just as stressful for me to, say, for argument's sake, be stuck in a traffic jam as it was for a hunter-gatherer to, not know he's going to get food for the next couple of days.
Yeah.
It sounds insane,
Right.
but that's kind,
Well, it's just a shift of times, isn't it? Really, it's
exactly.
Just a shift
So
of
some
what's
people
happening.
think it's going to be the end of the world if they, go out with, they're not looking sharp.
Yeah, God. Honestly, so I'm very much on country time. I'm just sort of like, drifting a boat, going 20 miles an hour. The amount of honks I've got behind me and people overtaking me, and then me literally coming back up behind them at some traffic light and just being like, well, okay, that got you far. But people are so. He's going 90 miles an hour and a 20. What's he doing? That just something like that can.
It's all relative. I tell you what. One thought I had recently was. And this might, I don't know if we talk about the connection here, but I feel like everything's like hot water, right? The more kind of hot water. So say, for example, I'm used to taking cold showers. Never taken a hot shower before.
Okay.
Right? So I only know cold showers.
Yeah.
So every time I take a shower, it's cool. It's cold. I'm used to it, right? Second, I have a hot shower. Fuck. That was good. Now I want another hot shower. Yeah, but I had a lukewarm shower, right? Now I want another. Now, when I have a cold shower, that's a bit cold. But my lukewarm shower, that was all right. But it turns out the water can go hotter. Now the water's really, it's kind of burning my skin a bit, right? Now I want to take a lukewarm shower. It's not really the same anymore. Now when I take a cold shower, it's fucking damn uncomfortable.
Yeah, right.
But now I've kind of reached the top. I can't take a hot shower because I'll literally scald my skin, right? So you kind of get to that point where eventually, as you keep stressing something and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, you're not going to be able to, you kind of reach a level where we all reach and we can't go any further, right?
Yeah.
And that's your kind of ultimate stress situation. That doesn't matter if, social situations are the most stressful thing or famine is the most stressful thing.
It's still a stressor on your body.
It's still a stressor on your body, right? So, those living in cities and, we're fortunate enough to, as maybe were to live in London, right? we've driven ourselves to kind of we can only respond to the environment around us, and we've literally, once you drive yourself to the ultimate level of stress, you're still in the same risk as from whatever the reason is, right? So that can be mental or physical. So need to loop back to the point. The point was on kind of how you develop systemic inflammation, right? So one of the main factors of that is just how you live your life, right? So you could live your life in a very stressful way, and then that creates via just mentally as well as physically. So you create stress by going to the gym, but it's a positive stressor because if you're able to recover for it. But if you just train, 10 hours every day, no rest, no sleep, etc., you're not going to recover from that, and you're actually going to end up with the same effects as someone who just has a stressful job and doesn't go to the gym, right?
Yeah, right.
So,
and that's the thing as well. You can apply that, going to the gym and work for 10 hours straight, and then working out for 10 hours straight, to being in a job where you're working for 10 hours straight and you very rarely get a break and you see no daylight and you're always sat down. Do you know what I mean? It's all a huge, massive stress on your poor body that just really wants to enjoy itself and have a good time.
Just chill out. Like, once you get to the point where you've done enough work, you don't want to be forced at your desk for another 3 hours just to do something that's probably pointless. Like
this is why I really like when people say that they bring work home with them or they answer emails at home from work. In my head, I'm just going, no. That's work. Like that needs to be at work. Leave it there. Done. Like, one of the things I did when I left work and got home was I stripped straight out of my work clothes and I got into my home clothes because this is now home time. This is my time to chill out, to relax, to read, to talk to Dee, to have food. You know what I mean? It's all those things. But if you're, but because it sounds really, really, really stupid. But if you're in work clothes and you're walking around your home in work clothes, then your brain still might think you're actually at work because you look down and see your trousers and you're like, oh, work time, It's
going to remind you of work.
Of course,
And you just need to think about it. You just have to think about work, and if you don't like it, you're going to be stressed out.
Yeah. Okay, so for someone in that situation, how can you de-stress? For someone who is in that this London mode of just going and just doing it, and what are the avenues that you can de-stress? Because we've quite clearly stated that it's really bad for you. So how can you de-stress?
So you can get good sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole bunch of things that can the whole bunch of things you can do to get good sleep. But it's actually an easy win.
Okay.
And it'll at least so.
What about if I'm struggling sleeping?
Well, you can take a hot shower before you go to bed.
Okay.
Right, followed by a cold rinse. Even if you don't want to do a cold rinse, you can still do a hot shower. Leave yourself some time. That'll allow your body temperature to actually drop over time as your body tries to buffer the heat out. Right.
Okay.
So your it's called vasodilation. So your veins will dilate to actually buffer the heat out of your body.
Okay.
But then over time, they'll actually lead you to a lower body temperature. Right. You need to sleep in a totally dark room.
Okay.
You need to totally unwind before you go to bed. So that means don't look at your phone or screens for as much time as you can before. So I believe melatonin is one of the kind of neurotransmitters that allows you to get a good restorative sleep. I believe REM sleep or deep sleep or potentially both of them. Right.
Yeah.
So REM, you can think of REM sleep as restoring your brain, and deep sleep as restoring your body. Right. So you need to make sure you get enough of both of them.
Yeah.
So my understanding is REM sleep, you're really going to affect that if you're kind of looking at screens or working just before you go to bed. Even just sitting and doing kind of mindless stuff, your brain is still kind of getting hits of dopamine and not releasing the right chemicals at the right time.
Yeah.
Right. So if you stare at a screen, I believe for every half an hour you stare at the screen before you go to sleep, it delays the release of melatonin by like an hour or something.
Wow. Okay.
So say, for example, you're literally working up until the moment you go to bed, or you're literally watching a blaring, TV the moment you go to bed. you fall asleep and maybe you get 8 hours in bed, but only 4 hours in you released melatonin.
Right.
So your body hasn't actually gone through the proper sleep cycles.
Okay.
So you actually wake up totally screwed. Right? So really, when you get out of bed, you should feel fresh. You shouldn't be you shouldn't
Groggy
feel
or-
dozy or whatever. Right? Part of that comes
That's-
in. So,
Go on.
well, part of that comes in. Do you want to get up in the morning? Right?
Mm.
But also, when you kind of open your eyes in the morning, you shouldn't feel like, Jesus, I need another 3 hours on that.
That's so. Do you know what? That's very interesting to say that, because, like, since I've changed my evening, so since I've adapted it to seemingly do that sort of stuff, like have a hot shower before, not look at screens. I've actually been waking up and been ready and been like, okay, cool, right, I'm ready now. Yeah. It's quite. I've only thought that now, actually. It's very interesting. Yeah, because before I'd literally wake up and just my an eyes wouldn't open and it'd be like, oh God, and well, I mean, scientifically speaking, that's because the melatonin hasn't been. Yeah, how interesting.
Yeah, I think there's a whole bunch of. I tell you what, there's an unbelievable book by a guy called Sean Sean Stevenson. Maybe it's Sean Stevenson.
Okay.
And he's got like 21.
Not like Shaun the Sheep, no, not.
No. Sean Stevenson.
Yeah.
He's got a podcast actually,
Okay.
and I think it's like a podcast on sleep, and he's got hundreds of episodes.
Okay.
And he's literally got a book about like 21 ways to sleep smarter.
Okay.
And it's kind of actionable things you can do in each one.
And isn't there some truth in the fact that if you dim the lights as well, so for example, if you've got a big hall light that's very like blary, when it gets to about like say 7 or something or 6, just completely turn that off and just put the lamps on, and then that also brings your sort of body into okay, we're getting ready for a bit bit deeper sleep now, or deeper relaxing time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you were to talk to any kind of one of those top health specialist guys, they all pretty much have the same wind down routines in terms of like no blue light, so natural light, or I heard of some guy putting red, like almost kind of like strip club lights in his bedroom.
Oh, here comes Jerry again. He's got the brothel out.
Well, he had a great point with it, actually. Something I'm seriously considering it just makes the whole bedroom 100 times more sexy, and also just allows you to sleep at night.
I'm really trying, baby.
That's they'll tell you that. They'll tell you need to sleep in the darkest room possible.
And do you know what, something I did when I was in London recently, because it was just like, God, the lights were so much. It sounds really silly, but I had one of those on the plane they give you those like eye masks.
Yeah, many of the top health guys that advise on this stuff will be using one of those.
Wow.
So there's even a guy called Ben Greenfield, who's probably the biggest kind of podcaster in the health world.
Yeah.
He uses ones for basically tripping on LSD.
Right.
They're called like the mind.
Oh, I've seen these.
Mind mask or something. Or I don't know what it's called exactly, but yeah, it's like complete blackout, nothing, and he uses that for sleeping.
Yeah, you're right.
Because nothing's getting in. But also, it's not just your eyes, also your body. So your body is as receptive to. Okay, I'm not going to say as receptive, but quite receptive to light as your eyes are. It's not just your eyes.
Well, I mean that's so in the summer, that's actually how I wake up. I don't have an alarm. I wake up with the light, and
best way, yeah.
Now I've got one of these like Dee got me for like Christmas last year. One of these like seasonal affective disorder things, like lamps, and you actually wake up with a very, very bright light that brings you up, and that's my alarm now.
Yeah,
so.
I literally have one of those.
Yeah.
I've got Lumi, but to be fair, my girlfriend absolutely hates it.
Really?
But I literally have it like right there next to my bed, so when I kind of wake up,
it
comes on a
little slow
kind
one.
of slow.
Yeah.
I think it could be brighter, but
okay. So
nicer than the alarm.
sleep. So getting a good night's sleep.
Yeah, we can talk all day about that. But
key,
that's
key to reducing stress.
Yeah.
What else would you recommend?
So also the morning is also, I found, if not as important, literally as important as your evening routine.
Interesting.
So if you get as much light as you can in the first hours of the day, that is hugely transformative to your sleep, because it really is helping your circadian rhythm, knowing, okay, it's morning time now. Release all the, do all those processes you're supposed to be doing in the morning or throughout the day. So that when it comes to evening time, you kind of got all of that stuff done,
Yeah.
and now your body's like, okay, well, now it's time to sleep.
Mm.
Whereas if you have no kind of clear cycle and release of the right chemicals in your body,
Mm.
then your body won't be as receptive to food at the right time, as receptive to
Okay.
to winding down for bed, because it's still got all the, your mind's still totally buzzing because
Mm.
it hasn't had a full day's work.
Right.
So
right.
I know, for example, for days when I'm fasting, actually is the most obvious. Is when I'm some days I'm fasting. You have to be. Sleeping is I'd for me anyway, it's the hardest thing. So, especially if I'm fasting, you sometimes say you have a coffee a bit too late, or you've had a kind of busy day. Sometimes your body, because you're so fueled up on cortisol, your body really is kind of going 110%. You can feel the stress kind of throughout you.
Yeah.
And if I haven't done a significant walk, at least, I mean like an hour, or actually the best thing for me is just to have a gym session.
Right.
Don't change my gym program. Just go hard.
Yeah.
That will send me to sleep. But if on the days I don't do that, it's awful.
Yeah.
I
Fascinating.
literally can't sleep at all, and because I haven't
Released.
and I go to bed and can't have a good sleep. Can't get
Mm.
that will really affect your deep sleep.
Okay.
Totally. If you haven't really if you haven't given your body any reason to do any, right?
Right. Right.
So that's very important. So movement, that's like movement and exercise isn't just important if you just want to run far. It also just translates so much further into your cognition, your stress, your kind of even just feeling good, kind of day-to-day basis. I feel like the more I'd have exercise being up there with one of the greatest kind of transformative things for me, even just being able to talk to someone as a confident person.
Wow.
Yeah, certainly.
Okay.
Because
Fascinating.
it just changes your brain in a way where you feel like you're kind of capable. I mean, and it doesn't mean, I'm not talking about I can run a super Ironman or anything like that, right? You're just capable in the sense that you're a person and you've got I don't know. You can't. It just translates into so many factors. Like just.
I mean, you could also say it would, if like even just by getting, because we're in a society now where it's very insular and it's very just this is me, this is my iPhone. I'm gonna just focus on this. I'm not gonna have a conversation. It's gonna be
Right.
Doing exercise actually, if you're with a coach, or if you're in a team, or if you're going to a gym, or you're a part of a community.
Mm-hmm.
So it does also give you that community feel, that community aspect. If you do something as a part of a team, or just even just one to one or something, it gives you that human contact. That I'm imagining that can also be pretty good for you, really.
Even actually the time you spend it, so even if you're not working in a team, if you for me, I most of the time is go to the gym, right? So normally I'm working on my own. I say hi to people, but I'm kind of just, I like to crack on and do my own thing, because I really enjoy kind of understanding my own biomechanics. Was I doing that right?
Yeah.
I feel myself quite a lot nowadays, just to see, really get more self-awareness about about my own body, right?
Yeah.
And even in that time that you give yourself, it's kind of time that it comes back to the self-love. It's kind of time you're giving to yourself to learn about yourself, and also just give your mind rest. Like, you're not staring at a screen anymore. You're putting yourself under a bit of effort. You're kind of having to push yourself a bit. But I mean, that's kind of one part that gives it to you. But also just once you go away from the gym, and now you're playing with your cousin's kids, or you're helping someone move house, or you're just even just having the energy levels just to go and meet a mate on a day where you maybe wouldn't be bothered, or being able to keep up a conversation for long enough because you're not falling asleep half the time.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying that you should you need to train to a high level to be able to do that, but it's kind of, it translates to so many aspects of life, and it's so important that even just kind of working on myself from a kind of physical perspective really has translated into so many aspects of self-confidence, and being able to even just being able to walk into a room and shake someone's hand and and feel like you're kind of on the same level and not to kind of immediately put yourself under them. Right? That was one thing I was probably guilty of, but now just having kind of seen myself fail in so many aspects in exercise, right? You kind of fail every day, right? You can't do another pull up, you can't do another press up, you know, you can't do what that squat that your coach showed you last week. You still can't do it.
It's
humbling.
It's then not about giving in. Yeah, it's humbling. It's about being like, okay, I can't do that, but I'm gonna try and make myself better to do that by whatever it might be.
Yeah, and it just it allows your pride to take that thing and to kind of put it out there. Just put your pride on the table and say, yeah, it's fine. You know,
There's the butcher's knife. Chop it up.
yeah, exactly.
Make them sausages and let's try again.
Yeah.
I think the sun's on my side today. I got a lease of life, I feel okay. Need to call around, get them all out, jump in the car and get on the way. Cause there's love and the strength in numbers. They can try but they're never gonna run us down, down. Speakers loud, it's like we're on a come up. Fifth gear but they're never gonna race us down, down. I'm alive on a high, blue skies, there's nothing better. Hands up, we're on a ride, hold tight, we're laughing together. Ooh, we light it up and ooh, we can't be stopped and oh, can't hear us coming. Oh, we take off and keep it running. Take a stop at the riverside, crack 'em open, pass around the light. Breathe it in and out, bring our guards down. Yeah, this is ours for the day and the night. Cause there's love and the strength in numbers. They can try but they're never gonna run us down, down. Speakers loud, it's like we're on a come up. Fifth gear but they're never gonna race us down.